don't know if it was helpful. I don't know if you all, I don't know what's helpful and what isn't, so I'm always up for your feedback. The last recording, that I posted it so you guys could watch it if you wanted, or maybe the people who didn't attend watched it. So Irina, am I right that you were at everybody's rehearsal? You got to witness the whole thing? Okay, cool. So you're going to kind of be one voice of reason here, right? So listen, I have no idea what happened. None. Well, I have a little because Bernie told me a little story, but so what would be, I would love to hear people's stories because I'm going to guess that people have different stories and different experiences. But let me begin by, let's just build a quick list. If you could get a question answered today or two, what would those questions be? What would you like to know that you don't know right now?
I actually don't know what the setup is going to look like when we present, like what the screen is going to look like that we're seeing. Are we going to be sitting in front of a laptop or a screen? I'm not sure what that's going to be like, because there was a note to not wear your glasses because of the glare, and I can't not wear my glasses if it's a screen, a smaller screen.
Great. Okay, excellent. That's a really wonderful consideration. Good. Thanks for getting us started. And Bernie, you can have more with one question if you want. Okay. So what else? What other questions would you like answered before we finish today?
I guess for those sessions where there's more than one person, what does the changeover look like? Will it be like at any point more than one person visible on the stage? Will they all be separate? How does that recording look like?
Great.
I think also, just maybe some general, again, I think for Irina, if I remember correctly, we could see either kind of teleprompter or slides if we want to do, but not both, is what I think was what we were explained, which I think is great. So I've kind of decided I'm just going to do slides and rely on my memory, because that's how I'm used to giving talks, is looking at my slides and those things. But I'll be holding probably, I think, the clicker, since I'll be self-moving the slides and those things. And so, I guess just some thoughts on, as we're filming it, how to not appear, horribly stiff while we're there. Just kind of how to carry oneself so we look suitably relaxed, but not, as I say, like a bunch of performers on stage either. What's the right middle ground there? And maybe it's just what feels natural to us. I don't know.
I don't either, but that will be an interesting conversation. I look forward to that. Okay. I mean, everybody's going to have an opinion about that, and I look forward to it. That's cool. Thanks, Brendan. What else? What else is on your mind? What else would you like to know? What are you hoping to get answered?
I think it's related to the question about setup. Is this recorded as if, using the same kind of, I know, like, hi. You can see my dog behind me.
He's gone like the wind, the fastest bowman.
Yeah. The setup, is it recorded kind of like single, like, are we on stage as if we were all together, or is it going to be more of a look and feel, going to be like waist up, right?
Well, that, Jonathan, the premise of that entire question makes me have a question. And because Moran,
because somebody just mentioned on stage, so I mean,
yeah, Moran, you mentioned the word stage, and I was like, stage as in like a theater, or stage as in like sound stage, or so Irina, maybe you can help us with this.
Sound stage, I think.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll send you, we did have a presenter call with the producers, and I'll send you the recording and some materials from that call that answered, I think, some of the questions you are asking here. So it might be helpful for you to take a look at that. Some of the answers are, there will be a teleprompter, And Brandon, what you choose is what you see on the teleprompter. So you can either see notes on the teleprompter or you can see slides on the teleprompter. So Brandon, for you, we worked with the producer to make sure you see your slides on the teleprompter. For each of you, if you prefer to see your notes, what Leslie has typed into the speaker notes, you'll see the notes. But you have a choice to see either notes or the actual slides, but everybody will have a teleprompter. You're going to be standing on stage. You're going to be filmed waist up, but you'll be standing. So it's important to wear comfortable shoes because for the duration of your presentation, you'll be standing and you don't want to kind of go from foot to foot if you're uncomfortable. So, but your shoes will not be on camera, so don't worry about what you're wearing and if it doesn't match the rest of your outfit. The stage setup will be a blue screen, and in the email that I'll send to you, you'll see what it looks like. So kind of wear solid colors, preferably not blue, so it doesn't blend with the background. And if there's more than one person, if you're talking together, both of you will be on camera and on screen. If you transition, during the transition, you transition to one person, so Marty, maybe you and Miran, maybe you and Marty on screen together while Marty is introducing you, and then when you start talking, so Marty doesn't just stand there, the camera will just zoom in on you. And same for Francesca and you, Jonathan. When you are together, conversing together, both of you will be on screen. When one of you talking, the camera will only show one of you, so the second person doesn't seem to be standing there doing nothing. So I think I addressed most of the questions about stage setup, waist up, more than one person, and teleprompter. And again, I'll send you right after this call just a quick call recording and some PowerPoint slides that our producers used on that call that has some examples of what you're going to look like, what the stage backdrop looks like to get you a little bit more comfortable, as well as some suggestions for what to wear. And Bernie, it's not a requirement not to wear glasses. So if you have to wear glasses, wear glasses. We just want you to be comfortable, and we'll deal with the glare later on our side. So I wouldn't worry about that.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So if we have to stand during the, I find it hard not to move around when I'm standing and talking. Is there a stool we can sit on instead or no?
That's a good question. I can definitely ask. I don't see why not, but let me check into that.
Am I right? There's no podium or any kind of, there's nothing to hold on to like a life raft.
No, I don't think so. It's actually, it's going to be like a professional studio setup. So, but I don't know. I'll check on.
Hey, some professional studios have, but so
I don't know. I have no idea.
Irina, let me ask something about the two people presenting question. If I were there and it's just me, and you tell me that it's a waist shot, right? But now I've got a partner with me, that means it's going to be wider. That means both of us will be seen below our waist. Am I right?
Yeah, possible. But I was assured that we will not see your feet. So the feet will not be in the camera.
Right. So I could wear my Birkenstocks, right?
That's right.
And that would be cool. But I can't wear like my pajama pants.
That's probably preferable. And then while we are on the topic, for those of you like Brendan and Miran, you are presenting twice on 2 different days, and you're recording on the same day. So either bring a change of clothes or just bring a jacket and maybe film one with jacket, one without jacket, just to make it appear that it's 2 different presentations on 2 different days.
Good call. Great. Great. Can I pick up? I mean, that was really helpful. Do you have more questions for Irina? Clearly, she's got the inside track here.
One quick question, Irina. What's the general expectation for attire?
Business casual, so you don't have to wear a tie. If you want to wear a tie, you can. But just think about business casual. You don't have to wear a jacket or sports coat. The only reason I brought it up because it can help you bring variety to like Brendan and Miran who have to technically change clothes, but you don't have to have it.
Okay.
So generally, Davida is very casual, but you can dress up or down wherever you like.
Okay, great.
But also you could just, rather than adding a jacket, you could just change your shirt, right?
You can change your shirt. And what we were discussing, especially for those of you that will have multiple presenters, that you at least coordinate in terms of somebody is not completely dressy and somebody is completely casual, that you coordinate a little bit in terms of how you're appearing on the screen together. So that might be a good idea. And we discussed it, and Francesca was on a call, Jonathan. So I think she commented that you might wear a dress. So you could, Francesca.
Oh, I was going to say we would wear the exact same. I was going to wear the exact same outfit as her. We'd be twins.
That'd be great.
We were planning on twinning, so yes.
And they should both be navy blue so your bodies disappear.
Exactly. Just 2 floating heads would be terrific, or stripes so that it really freaks out.
Ooh, that would be good. Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
awesome.
Definitely solid colors, no stripes.
Or maybe
Miran,
just blue
you and Marty.
gloves. You know. Sorry. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Miran, I'm wearing a
Marty
suit.
might be helpful.
I'm wearing a suit so it can hide my sweat.
Wait, this is a good question. If I wear a navy blue blazer, am I going to disappear in my green screen, or am I okay?
No, you're not okay.
It's going to be a blue screen, so you might disappear. And Brendan, I think for you it might be tricky. I think you're going to be filming with the green screen, but when we actually Photoshop it for the presentation, it will be blue screen for everybody. So.
Like dark blue or so if you have a dark like blue black blazer, that would be okay.
I think
it should be the chroma key blue is very vibrant.
Okay.
It's not a navy blue. It's really not a navy blue.
Okay.
So.
And
yeah.
I'll send you some examples in the slides. In the email that I send you, there will be an PowerPoint deck, and you can open and see some examples of what this looks like.
Oh, great.
But I think more fun question is how to not appear stiff.
Yes, that's a very good question. Yeah. Before we jump to that, Bernie, can I address the glasses question? And Brendan, maybe this is for you too.
I need them too, yeah.
So first off, you do have you could get non-reflective coating on your glasses. It should be able to be a pretty short appointment. You could get that done and it helps. It doesn't make it all go away, but it helps. So that's just a thought. But here's a different thought. You both, like Bernie, right now, you're on camera and we can see that that you're looking into a screen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put your chin down, it changes it. And now this reflection is gone. You also might be able to tip your glasses down. So in other words, it's about the reflection angle of the lens or your face, and however you can manage some of that. Now look, the truth is, you're going to move. I hope you're going to move when you talk. It's not like we're going to put your head in a vice and it's going to be, kind of locked down. But if you can kind of think like, oh, my best default is with my, my chin down, that it can just help you kind of remind yourself maybe, or even literally if you have notes at the bottom of every note page, you could like go chin down. You know what I mean? So you can help yourself with that so that it minimizes it. It's a thought.
Okay.
Yeah. Being stiff. Shall we talk about being stiff? First off, before we jump into that, or maybe with this thought in mind, can you all help me understand what kind of feedback you got during your rehearsal, not about your content, although I'm interested in that too, but more about your style? Did you get feedback about how you're showing up? And I saw you smile, Bernie. What was that about?
No, I told you. Ask me, Ron.
Okay, I'll ask Miran. Miran, did you get feedback about your style?
No, ask him about me. So I can
Oh, hey, how'd Bernie do, Miran?
She did it fine. It was just I think she
No,
just
You
highlighted
can
it
tell,
to you
tell the truth.
earlier.
You can tell the
She
truth.
was just like she said earlier, like she was nervous in reading, but it was her first time really looking at it because she had just updated it. But it was pretty stiff, right? Because she was just looking at her slides and reading it. So it didn't seem like it was her natural, she is very peppy usually, and it wasn't that, so she usually has a lot of energy around what she's saying, and it was clear that she was reading off of a slide.
Peppy, what a nice word. I wish peppy for you. That's excellent. So I'm curious again, if that was kind of what happened, Bernie, and that does happen. I mean, of course, it always happens, things like that. I'm sorry it happened to you, but then I'm also curious what feedback you got. Like, I don't know how, I mean, maybe it just everybody understood what it was and you didn't get any feedback. But so it's not just for Bernie, it's for everybody. If you think about style, this question that Brendan's raising about being stiff, being natural, being peppy, whatever it is, like, what kind of feedback are you getting around that kind of stuff, if any?
So I did get feedback. Everyone was very kind. In fact, I think they saw I was so nervous. They called me later because I was so nervous at the moment that I think they didn't even want to give me input at that moment because I think they thought I would just like drop to the floor.
What they really wanted
I
is they just
so I
wanted to
got
give
it.
you medication. That's
Yes.
what they wanted.
So I actually had to use relaxation techniques because I mean, everyone did. I don't need to tell the whole story, but I've had performance anxiety. So I had to use deep breathing, and I was actually did that before the performance I did. So I would have been worse 10 minutes before it. So they said that my content was good, that that the story was good, but that I looked incredibly nervous. So they were giving me pointers on putting my feet on the ground, taking deep breaths, remembering that I know more than anyone else about what I'm talking about. And then reminding me of how I, like just Miran said, you're usually, confident, you usually look energetic, you're usually peppy, like you remember who you are when you're doing this rather than thinking that you're in a completely different environment. So those were that was the feedback around what I did.
So I just want to offer something. This is to Bernie, but it's to everybody, which is DaVita has built into this entire process the opportunity for one-on-one time with me. If you have a history of anxiety around performing and all that, let's work together. I mean, really, like, yeah, because like I would love to help you with that. So good. I mean, and yeah, great. Okay, good to know. I'm glad they're kind. Those suggestions all sound excellent. So it's all good. There's lots I could come back to, but let me just ask everybody else. What feedback did you hear, if any?
For me, just content.
Nothing about style.
Yep.
And I'm just go ahead, Moran. No.
I was just gonna say it was mostly content driven, I think, is where they focused on, because they realized, there's still work for us to do to get it completely ready. I mean, they felt like my style was engaging and all that, but I felt pretty comfortable with the material. I will say that when I did the director's meeting, that was videotaped with a teleprompter, and I found myself more challenged with that. I do much better if there's a two-way communication. I see you, you see me, even if I don't see you, if it's just black squares, like I know you're there, versus me talking into this camera and nothing's on the other side live, and it's kind of a switch in my brain that I need to turn on and off. And that's one of the things that I struggled with from when you think about stiff, like I just feel like I'm not myself.
Wow. Yeah. And the idea that I proposed, I don't know if you've heard it, Moran, this idea that I proposed about actually, quote unquote, putting someone in the lens, is that helpful for you, or does your brain is it just not useful?
Never tried it. Maybe it would work.
So you're hearing that for the first time right now?
Yeah.
Okay. okay, because we can go a little more on that in a bit. It's just an old trick, because there's all kinds of people who have to talk into the lens, and that idea of like, oh, I want to talk to, I don't know, a nurse practitioner. I want to talk to my daughter. I want to whatever, and you put that person in the lens. It was interesting. You said you didn't get much feedback besides content, but then you said, oh, they said you were engaging.
Yeah, that was pretty much the extent of it, yeah.
I'm sorry, am I glitchy, or I didn't hear Moran? That suddenly didn't come through.
Oh, he's back.
Okay.
Oh,
We
yeah,
lost
I was
you.
just saying that was sort of the that was the extent of the contact.
Okay. Well, hey, it's nice feedback. I'm glad you got it. Good. Brendan, did you get any style feedback?
I think just content for the most part, but honestly, I was also terribly anxious, and I would say, Bernie, I don't think I was in as tough a situation as you, because I had my stuff settled a little, but it's been a while since I've given a talk and had a group of people give you kind of critical feedback. Usually, I think in our roles, we just kind of get up and we're experts and we give our talks and we feel very from, and that's it. There's not really much to it. And everyone, great job, and that's it. And I haven't been in this scenario for a while, so it was valuable. On the other hand, I was so anxious. I don't know if I heard much of the feedback they gave me. So I was writing stuff down so I wouldn't forget it. I was like, God, I hope that was okay. I hope I didn't sound like an idiot. I was pretty anxious, which I'm usually not with speaking, but I definitely was. So I don't know, Irina, how it came across, but it felt stiffer than normal for sure. But I had more time to practice. So my stuff was a little set ahead of time. So I don't know. I think it was all right. I think I have the same kind of concern Moran has. At least the videos that Irina was kind enough to share, looks like they're kind of getting you from the waist up and those things. And again, I just wonder, it may have been just easier because there was an audience here, so I could see some faces and those kind of things and speak to that a little bit. So I have a little bit of a worry about how to keep myself loose. The first talk I think I have is 10 minutes, and then the second one's going to go like 22 minutes, which again, fine, I think, but I don't know. I think there could be that you'll just stand there and kind of, and then this happens, and then, I want to avoid that, but I'm afraid I'm going to go 25 minutes to the entire take and then realize that it looks dumb and have to do it all over.
Irina, let's just take Brendan as an example. If Brendan was, 6 minutes into his presentation, and as the director or somebody, I was like, I know Brendan can do better than that, would they stop him and say, let's start again? And would they do a little coaching and start over, or no? What do you have an idea about that?
I'm actually not sure. Miran, you filmed for the directors meeting. Did they do any steps?
Yeah, they did. We had a Rod that was like clearly nervous. And so they kind of stopped it and redid it again so we didn't film the whole thing, and they stopped him and redid it and kind of coached him live, like, feel a little bit more comfortable. And on that one, we were all three of us kind of standing around a table. And so it was much more obvious because you could see me and Katie, and he was very nervous. And so they did stop and do it.
And they also edit at the end. So if you took multiple takes and one was better than the other, they can montage them together. So
yeah,
doesn't have to be end to finish uninterrupted recording.
Which is really helpful to remember, that you don't have to go from heads to tails, especially if you've got 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes. You don't have to do it perfectly. Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's really helpful. So, so some of the questions here, we've, one of the questions that got asked was, Moran, you asked specifically around, pardon me, a handoff between presenters. Are you looking for like, how do you manage the script? Or are you talking about like, how do we manage it on camera? What's the question that you have here?
It was more around the camera. I think the script, we've sort of got it already baked. Last year, it was really much more challenging because Mark and I did handoffs multiple times, but he filmed in California and I filmed in New Orleans on different days. And so we had to pretend like we were talking to each other when we weren't. And he had to like start as if he had heard me speak. So, but this one, we will be live, all three of us in the same room. And I think the handoffs went okay. It was more around the camera splay.
And are they not giving you guidance around? In other words, I'm curious why you have questions about it if you've had a rehearsal on set, but maybe your rehearsal wasn't on set.
Oh, it wasn't. We were in virtual like this. It was on WebEx.
I see. And have they, so listen, I'm happy to kind of tell you what I think is going to happen, but Irina, you may have way better information about this. Bye, Brendan. Thanks for being here.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to hop too, but I want to hear this before I move.
Irina, do you have information from here on around how they manage it in the camera? Because again, I'm going to guess, but I don't want to be wrong about it if you have information that's solid.
So not being a producer, but my understanding, Miran, is that they're going to show Marty first. Then Marty, in his voiceover, introduces you, and then they'll show both of you in a frame. And then when you start speaking, they'll zoom out just out of Marty and just show you only alone. So it'll sort of be from Marty to both of you to you only.
Okay. And then
they'll have multiple cameras, and then they'll edit it together.
And for the breakout, it would be like me, and then I say, all right, Bernie, you take, I'm going to toss it over to Bernie. And at that point, she'll just pop on because we're not really, I don't know, how would that work?
Yeah, I think at that point, it doesn't make sense to show both of you on stage. We'll just transition straight to Bernie. So we'll, from the recording perspective, we'll stop, then you'll switch places, Bernie will come, and then we'll start filming Bernie.
Got it. Okay.
Am I right, Irina, that it's 3 cameras?
Oh, I'm not sure how many.
I think it,
but I know it's more than one.
I think it was 3 cameras, at least for the director's meeting. I think there was 3 cameras.
So Miran, the way that you might think about it is that the camera in the center is going to be the widest and will get you and your partner. And then the camera that's over there will get you, and the camera over there will get your partner, right? So, you know what I mean? And they'll tell you where.
And they'll cut them. Okay.
Yeah. So, and especially they're going to tell you like where to look and which lens to look in. They're going to, yeah, they want you to look good.
Well, thank you. I've got to hop, but I appreciate it.
Glad to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So it seems like still the kind of one big question that's up on at the moment, I don't know if it's relevant for you, Jonathan, or not, is this idea about how not to be stiff. We haven't really dug into it deeply, I don't think. So there we go. So is there value in that? And Jonathan, is that helpful for you or no?
I'm all ears always, even if it's always helpful.
Okay, great.
It's always helpful.
And so and we were together last time, and I felt like we talked a fair amount about this. So one of the questions that I have is, as you think about what you've already heard, are there, Gail is here. I'm going to let Gail in. Cool. So,
Bernie, you can ask Gail your question about the stool on stage.
No, I don't even know. I don't know if I need it. I just, I guess if you're standing there and talking, I tend to use my hands more, but like Tom said last time, is just keep them in the frame and not, going out like that. And then if we have a clicker in our hand, that gives me something to kind of ground myself with, I think. So I'll be able to hold on to that.
So, by the way, hi, Gail.
Hi, sorry, I'm stopping in, but I thought I'd join you as I could.
Well, that's fantastic. We just had some people who had to jump off, so you got to jump in. So
Great.
It's nice to see you, and hi. So we're talking about some logistics actually on stage on the day. And again, I don't know what you know, so these questions may or may not be relevant for you, but First up, by the way, just out of curiosity, am I right? It's a 3-camera setup?
It is. We have 3 camera setup.
Yeah. So 1 in the center kind of straight and 2 like this, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
they just vary depending on if we have 2 people in the shot or 1, but for the most part, we try not to have the presenters focus so much on it. We really will direct them to the camera, the teleprompter, or the slides that they should be looking at, that literally will sit in front of the camera. So it'll almost look like you're looking at a monitor, but literally behind that is the camera. And so that's where we want you looking. So we'll help make sure we direct you where your sight line is, where that's your audience. And I know it's hard, but that's like that one place is your audience, even though you'll see a lot of people in the background.
A question, you mentioned having a clicker in your hand. If for myself, who would just be reading the teleprompter and assuming that the slides will be edited in, is that a proper assumption?
So Jonathan, are you using a script or are you using slides? What is it that you want to view in the teleprompter?
I was going to just go with the script and then assume that the slides would be edited in.
Yes, we will edit in the slides then, and you will just be going by script. And then we'll have Leslie's helping us identify exactly when the slide comes into frame.
Yeah.
And depending on what it is you're showing, it'll either come up to your side, whichever side you're on, or it'll come full screen if it's really a lot of data.
Okay, but my assumption should be then that not to worry if the slides are out of sync with what I'm saying, because you'll fix it.
We will.
Yes.
And we have a review process where we can pull a slide down, we can move the slide around to make sure that it's matching what you're saying.
Okay, so let me I'll just coordinate. I want to make sure from Francesca's point of view that she wants to work off of a script as well. I'm talking for myself, but I wanted to see what she's comfortable with, because we're both kind of going back and forth. There is some conversation there, so I want to make sure we're aligned. I could do either. I would prefer the script myself.
And so we're not going to see, if we have the script on our teleprompter, we're not going to see our slides at all.
Oop.
I can't.
Lost you, Gail.
Yeah, we suddenly lost your audio. Okay. So listen, as she's calling in, Jonathan, let me ask you a question. Given what Gail just said to you, does that mean neither of you need to actually have a clicker? Because you're not going to be seeing the slides.
It doesn't seem like I need a clicker, other than if it's my safety blanket. Yes.
Right. Yes. As opposed to like a cigar, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, if you want to have a prop, you could have a clicker. But
Right.
but yeah. Okay. All right. Bernie, I'm sorry, were you starting to ask a question?
I was on the screen. So the teleprompter, I thought the slides and teleprompter were different, that we were going to see both. So we can only see one or the other.
That's what
Okay.
I've understood so far.
Okay.
And you can only see one or the other because we don't want your eyes going down, up, or side to side. So we really want you looking at the one place. So that's why it's one or the other. And I was listening to Jonathan. You can have a clicker as a prop if you need it. Like if it'll help you bring your hands up, it brings energy if you have hands in the frame.
Right.
Because otherwise your hands are straight down at your side and it just looks like you're talking stiffly. You know what I mean? So if it'll help you keep your hands up and keep you engaged, we'll give you a clicker for a prop.
Yep. Okay, great. Thanks.
Hi, Michael.
Gail, Bernie was asking, I assume they're going to be standing when they're recording. Is that right?
They will
Bernie
be.
was
You will
asking,
be.
is it possible to have a stool?
You know what? I don't need one. If I can talk with my hands, I'm good. So I was just thinking we were only going to be from here up, and we had to stand fairly still so that we're not all over the camera. But if we're able to move a little bit and, use our hands, then I think I should be okay.
And Bernie, I want to encourage you with something, which is, especially for you as you begin to build comfort, which is important for you, is to create a situation where you can rehearse with some kind of simulation of what you're going to be with. So in other words, rehearse standing up, rehearse with like your monitor at eye level across the room. You know what I mean? Like, don't rehearse sitting down like this, because I mean, your body's going to learn something. And so it's going to help you if you can just rehearse standing up and just get used to it. So, yeah.
That sounds good.
And one thing too,
Keep going.
Bernie, we help with like height. So if you have two presenters that are there's a disparity in height, we'll have someone like stand like on a box, a prop, because you're not going to see your feet. And it's really important to have comfortable shoes, because we don't want you swaying front and back or shifting your weight. You know what I mean? Because sometimes especially if you're in shoes that maybe aren't that comfortable, you can tend to shift your weight, and that can sometimes bring you out of the frame because you're moving. So we'll also help with that. But I agree with Tom. If you can rehearse standing, that usually is a little bit better of an example of what you'll be doing for filming.
Yeah, good.
Irina, I have a question for, there was a couple sections in ours in which we had to kind of, as you know, we changed the content. We did it quickly, but we did make some major changes. Is there any additional, is there going to be an additional review by the leaders to see whether the changes were taken? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So no more review by leaders, but all the decks are being submitted by legal and compliance review. And what we'll do is, if they come back with some minor, not substantive changes that we have to make to the script, because they're reviewing both your notes and the slides, we'll just make them and let you know what they are. If there's some substantive changes, we'll connect with you and say, here's the feedback, what do you want to do with it? But that's the only review left. It's the legal and compliance review.
Okay.
It doesn't go back to leaders anymore.
Okay.
And when is the actual taping dates?
April 4th through the 6th.
Yeah.
Great. And people know what their dates are already, right? Yeah. Cool. So again, I mentioned this, Bernie, just as an idea, which if you want to get on, get some time together one-on-one, then let's make that happen soon, right? So that, sorry, you're on mute, but I think you said yes. So
I did say I would really appreciate doing that. That would be great.
great. So you know how to get in touch with me. Just pop through Irina. She'll put you in touch with me if you don't already have my email address. Like, you could probably pull it off the invitation, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael, I wonder, as you come out of your rehearsal and think about whatever feedback you got, do you have questions that you come with today, things that would be helpful that you'd like answered before we finish?
Not in terms of presentation, but I did have one logistical question that has been kind of, I think, floated out to the technical people, but I haven't gotten a response. So maybe somebody on this call knows. Teleprompter, size of the text, distance from where I'm standing, only because we were advised to wear contacts if possible. And for me, that's not possible. But my vision isn't so bad that I can't see fairly big text. So I guess we'll just have to figure it out when I get there.
So like, you're asking, is there a Jumbotron?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm really going to need my glasses or not, I mean, we can play it by ear. It's not the end of the world. Just I don't have the ability to take on contacts.
And Michael, I can answer the question. You'll probably be about 5 to 6 feet away from the teleprompter. We can make the text on the teleprompter big or small. We can change the size of it. Some people like it a little bit smaller so they can see what's coming, so they can anticipate what's coming. But we can play with that. And if you need to wear your glasses, you'll wear your glasses. We'll figure out how to figure out the shine, and we can maybe dim a light or two. It's just an idea. If you can go without glasses, it's ideal so you don't have a reflection.
Yeah, the glare off my head will take away the attention from the glare off the glasses.
We're going to take care of that. We've got some light hair and makeup, so we won't see any shine off your head.
Great.
Promise.
So that was it. I mean, was there any other feedback, Michael, where you went like, oh, what do I do with that?
I mean, the feedback was mostly content based. I felt, and Irina was there. I mean, I think the actual cadence of the presentation, the comfort with the actual speaking and delivery part was okay. I came in on the commentary about having a fake clicker. I too like to move my hands as I talk. It's just part of being Greek, I guess. But you know, I'm fairly comfortable with that as long as I'm wearing comfortable shoes.
There you go. Great. So, Gail, one of the things that I'm hearing, and Irina too, both of you, one of the things that I'm hearing from people today is that most of the feedback that people got was on the content side, which that's great. But in other words, people are not getting a lot of feedback about their style. And I'm wondering if you were going to help people think about that. What should they be thinking about? And part of that is like, what's going well? And what are you seeing that's like, it's all good? Like, I don't know kind of what I don't know how you're evaluating people. And I don't think the presenters know how you're evaluating them. Don't mean to put you on the spot, sorry.
I can jump in for my part, but then Irina, maybe you can also, just from our experience from filming presenters over the last few years. What the ideal thing is we want to get them comfortable in the studio. It's a little intimidating to be under lights. I don't care if it's only 10 people there. It's still not your norm. The other thing is we try to make sure that no one starts, even if before they start speaking, that their hands are up. And you can't really see me, but like just your hands are kind of just at your side, not all the way down, but just, it already brings energy to the screen if you have your hands somewhere here. We can give you a prop if that helps. We don't want you going way out of the frame, right? Because you can go way up or out or tossing back and forth. And so what we'll do is, what we typically ask is folks to go through their full presentation from start to finish so that they get a feel for how did that sound? How did it work? Do I want to do something different? And then we try to give them some coaching feedback of, this was a really key element in your presentation, and I would either be more excited about it or smile about it, or it's more serious. So we try to help coach from an energy perspective because it has to come across on film. And when you're reading, sometimes you're just reading, but we really need you to feel it so that it shows. And so like if you're talking about some really cool innovation, we need you to bring that to the camera. And that's when we try to coach, like how might just change it here and try to give them some suggestions about that. Does that help, Tom, or does that help the rest of the presenters?
Well, yeah, is that helpful for you all to hear?
Very helpful.
Great. So
Sounds
you're
good.
going to get a dry run. You're going to get a
That's
rehearsal, right?
That's great. The other just quick question, and I've used it before, and it's been a long time since I've had to use a tool like this, but in the past, when it was a few years ago, I had to do something similar with the teleprompter, and somebody had sent me a link, I don't know if we have, to like it was like a teleprompter tool that you can just use on the internet for your rehearsals to get used to not having slides and reading off of a script, and it kind of simulates a teleprompter, so you can kind of rehearse as if it was happening and just simulate teleprompter on the screen in front of you. I don't know if I'd have to go Google, but I've used them before, and I don't know if there are any tools like that you know of before I go and do a search, because I think that would be a helpful rehearsal tool if they're still available or something like that, right?
I don't personally know that tool, but
Yeah.
I am sure that they exist. I'm sure they do. So yeah, I would say Google's going to be your friend here, and yeah, and your dog can do it. Your dog can do it while you're rehearsing. It'll be great. Yeah, kind of.
My wife will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
as I said before, she'll ask for CME for listening to me do it. She's a doctor. She'll want to get credit.
There you go. But that's a great idea. Look, and again, I just want to say that's more and more simulation. You're teaching your body and your mind more and more like what it's going to be really like, which just means you'll have fewer distractions on the day.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
If I find something, I'll send it to you, Irina and Gail. And if it, I'll probably Google, and if I find a tool that works, I'll send it to you, and you can share it with whoever might have similar needs.
Bernie, you look like you have an idea or a question.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what my dates are to meet with you.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm thinking
Um,
of.
and we've got time. It's not urgent. Like, yeah,
Okay.
but yeah. I want to build on something that Gail said, which I think is a helpful idea. So part of what Gail is saying is to not let your hands drop. If you think of what most people do, let's say at a cocktail party or something, most people are not standing with their hands to their side. That looks odd when people do that. So one of the things that you might think of is as if you had something that's about the size of a beach ball that's very fragile, like made out of glass or spun something, that you're just kind of holding in front of your body to get you started. And you only need to think of it just before you start speaking, because once you start speaking, it'll take care of itself. But that, as opposed to, letting your hands drop, another idea is that if you drop your arms so that your fingers are pointed towards the floor, it's as if somebody has opened spigots and there's just energy pouring out of your body. And you don't want that. You want the energy in your body and in your brain. So that idea of bringing your hands up is just a way of kind of conserving your energy, helping you, boosting you. So, and it looks better, but yeah. So that's a great, very practical suggestion, Gail. Thanks, I appreciate it. So are there other questions, concerns? Because like I say, you haven't gotten a lot of, I'm not going to address content, right? That's not my deal. But this whole idea of style, it sounds like you're not getting a ton of feedback about it, which also I assume means that you're not in terrible trouble, right? That if you'd been having great difficulties, I would guess, is this accurate, Gail? I mean, like, is this a good assumption? That, you would have probably heard about it, right? So nobody's like broken and we're trying to fix them. Bernie.
But it is true, right? Like once you go through the rehearsals, if it's not landing with executives, whether it's style or delivery, they'll just say, it's not important enough, let's kill that topic. Not necessarily always with PLM, but I feel like I agree with you. No one's in trouble. No one's like in dire, like no one just, I actually thought your rehearsals were awesome. I felt like even if you guys were reading a script, you were saying it as if you were speaking, not reading. So I'll tell you, I think you guys are way ahead of the game. If you guys feel you're behind, I think you're doing a really good job. I thought the rehearsals, I was super impressed with how it flowed, how people kept going. I thought the feedback was good. And then I think, sometimes now when you're with that person, there's going to be a little different engagement because now you're not on a video with them. You could be standing right next to them. But I thought you guys did really well on rehearsals, really well. So
Gail, there have been two questions here today that since you got to see the rehearsals, that you might have some feedback about, which is the two kind of questions are, again, talking into the lens, which is incredibly artificial, and you got to see it because people were rehearsing like this, right? People were looking into their little, camera. So that's one thing, is like, how's that going and what could be better, and do you have tricks? And the other concern is about literally, quote unquote, being stiff. So kind of not sounding natural, not sounding conversational is part of what I mean by that. And I'm just wondering if you had observations about that, because maybe it's irrelevant. Maybe people are worried about it and it's like they don't need to. I don't know. Have you got words for us about that?
I'll just tell you, you walk into a studio, you're under lights, you know that you're talking to all your peers. There's a lot of pressure. There's no way around that. And what you guys do in life is a lot of pressure, but you're so used to it that you do it every day and you do it naturally and you do it with such confidence. So let us help you deliver that presentation where we know how it'll come out, because you guys are there. We just now need to help you make sure you deliver it and it lands, and there's a great, it's of interest. People will still listen and pay attention because it's interesting, not just because they have to learn it. So I think know that it's a little intimidating if you don't film every day and you're not in front of lights and cameras. It's a weird feeling, and know that if I was in your shoes and did what you did, I would be out of my sorts. So we're going to try to help you make sure you guys are as comfortable as possible, and that you look the best and you're coming off the best as possible. If that helps. Does that help answer your question, Tom?
I think the answer to that is with Jonathan and Bernie and Michael. I don't know, right? Or
Well,
I
it's
also,
reassuring. It's reassuring to know that we would have been, that no news is good news is what we're kind of hearing, right? That while you can always work on it. If it was of great concern, you would have brought it up, and that's really, as I've said before, there's an amazing amount of support for what we're doing here, and I really appreciate it. Right. I've worked at other large companies in which they, get this kind of support for equally large meetings. So I think it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
Great.
I feel comfortable with the support as well. My thing, and it's kind of tangential to Tom's point, is getting in there, never having been in the production venue, to just be comfortable with what's going to be different. Because up until now I've done it kind of in the same room every time.
right. So let me tell you one of the tricks that I have used. Again, Gail, you may know this about me, you may not, which is, I made my living as a television actor for decades, a long time. And there's so much that happens on a set that is foreign. It's just weird. It's like it doesn't exist anywhere but in that environment. Now, granted, it was my working environment and I know my way around a television set, but I didn't always, meaning a TV studio. But I didn't always. And the game is, because there are so many distractions, the game is this: to narrow your focus to simply, what am I trying to do here? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And your purpose on that day is to get some ideas out of your head into the people who are listening. Getting as clear as you can about who you're talking to is going to be really helpful, and really activating your imagination about that person. And I encourage you to make it one person, because then the focus, it doesn't matter what's going on out there. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter about the lights or the cameras or all this stuff where you've been dropped down in a foreign environment. You've only got one thing to do, which is get those ideas from your head to that person's head. And that's it. So it's a focus thing. It is truly like what people do in emergencies, is like, yeah, there's all this stuff going on, but I have to deal with this patient right now. That's it. That's the only thing I have to do, right? Whatever it is. So that's kind of building on Gail's idea. I don't know if it's helpful or not, but the idea that you want to practice focusing. By the way, you can, if you rehearse in a place that has noise or distractions or children or whatever, that's great. Don't make it quiet while you rehearse. That's helpful. That really exercises your brain and the discipline of I'm just going to stay focused. This little channel is all I have to do. Everything else doesn't matter. So that's kind of my idea about it. I don't know if that's helpful. Bernie, I'm kind of looking at you going, I wonder if that's helpful or not.
It is. It is.
Okay. This feels pretty, since it's small and intimate today, it's not quite as, we don't have as many kind of ideas and questions and concerns. So I want to tell you an idea that I have, and I don't know if this works for people or not. I have this blocked on my calendar for 2 hours, so I'm here. I'm I'm all in for another hour. But if you all don't have a lot of questions, Bernie, you and I could work right now.
That works for me.
Yeah.
No,
See you
I'm not
guys.
trying to.
No.
I'm not trying to kick everybody else out, but so I'm just wondering, if there's more questions, we can do it. But if there's not, then Bernie and I can dig in. So I don't know what you think about that.
I'm glad to oblige.
Yeah, I'm fine on my end.
And again, Michael, Jonathan, anybody who's watching this video, I just want to remind you, I'm available if you want help around the style part. I'm happy to help. So you can reach out to me. That would be great. Irina, just let me ask, is there anything we've left out? Is there things that you think, oh my gosh, we should at least get this down on tape for other people who might watch later?
I think the only observation, in addition to what Gail has shared, that if you are reading a script on a teleprompter, make space for pauses and taking a breath, and don't read too fast, because that's when it sounds like you're reading, when you're going too fast. So remember to slow down, take a breath, and sound more conversational even if you're reading. So
that's great. And I want to suggest that you can build that into your teleprompter by putting line spaces in, or literally putting in a word in parentheses like breathe or pause. People do that all the time on teleprompters because it helps you remember. You can, nobody sees the teleprompter but you. You can put in hi mom. You can do whatever you want, right? So whatever's going to be helpful to you. And again, this is one of the big rules is you are the focus of everybody's work that day. When you're in front of the lens, the entire studio is focused on you and wants to help you be good. That's their job. So whatever's going to help you, you know, it's the day for you to be a prima donna. Like you want your only brown M&Ms, that's the day to ask for it, you know? So great idea, Irina. What else?
good. Thank you so much, and I'm sure you'll all do great.
Gail, do you have do you have other thoughts before we go?
Yeah, just don't allow yourself to be overcoached, right? Because you could get there, and we're gonna make a few different adjustments. We're not going to give you 8 things to do differently when you're there. So no, whatever you're learning now, you're going to take to it. And if I say, hey, Jonathan, I'd really love for you to do this, and you say, Gail, that's not comfortable to me, then let's figure out what will be, because you guys are also the master of your own destiny too. So don't allow yourself to be overcoached too much. We really try to narrow it down to just 1 or 2 of us giving some feedback to make sure that it's showing right. But once you get in your head and you have like 8 different things to think about, there's no going back. So we're trying to be really thoughtful and be really minimal.
Oh, Gail, I am so glad you said that. Listen, let me give you the analogy that I use with people on this, which is seriously, you know what works for you and everybody else is trying to help you, but it is like the waiter who comes to your table with a big old pepper mill and says, pepper? Yeah. So they are offering suggestions to you. They are not telling you what to do. And you do always have the agency to say no, or wait, or whatever. Do not assume that because you're in a foreign environment that they know more than you know. They don't know more than you know. You're the only person who knows how things are landing on you and what feels right to you. So Gail, that's a fantastic message. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, so you can tell me to shut up anytime when we're there, I promise.
That's great. Yeah, cool. Then Bernie, why don't you and I stay on? I'm going to stop the recording.
All right.
Gail, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
it's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.